I unblock Chad, everybody. It's done. The minute I block some annoying guy who talks about Palantir, just because he mentions Palantir and me, that's the only reason. I just don't want to hear any more Palantir. Is it okay not to hear any Palantir every single day?
All right, let me give the audience some context. I was at the gym when I got this notification. He tagged me. He was like, "Yo, you got to tell him to unblock me. What's going on?"
And then Daddy AMIT told me, "Stop being mean."
I was like, "Come on, man, you got to." Okay, so for context, this is a video you and your little buddy Carlos made.
How long ago? Like, who the fuck knows? I don't even know this stuff. Like, who is monitoring this shit? Like, what is wrong with the internet? Honestly.
Bro, that's the funniest thing. So he's known in the community as the guy that keeps receipts for everything. So he's been like, and on a good day, he's going to take him out. He's going to be a little, you're going to do what you're going to do. And so you guys said if AI actually worked, Palantir would have shorted itself March 12th. A little aggressive, but it was kind of funny. And then you blocked him. And he's like, Amit, tell him to unblock me. And I'm like, all right, bro, I'll tell him to unblock you. I got you.
I did. I unblocked him. And not because you said it, because like if he's a friend of the podcast, okay, fine. But my main beef is not with Palantir anymore. My main beef is with the Palantir fanboys. Like I'd be tweeting like, oh, solar energy, this, or Enphase is doing that. They'd be like, well, Palantir solves that. I'm like, it doesn't even matter if it does. It's just, we don't need to hear that word for every single thing on the internet. It's just stupid. When people talk about their different stocks, KRIS is talking about Google. I'm like, well, you know what? Tesla's doing similar stuff to AI. And no, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, I get it. You love your company. Go ahead. That's fine. But yeah, and everybody doesn't have to hear about it.
And honestly, we love you. We love anyone who is you're not a bear or anything. You just like other companies, but it's still fun to kind of like poke. Right?
Actually, I've always said I'm not a bear. If the company itself starts getting way more customers, right? That's my only bear case. If they become a massive conglomerate, where not a conglomerate, but lots of customers start coming in, millions of customers, and they make it easier for other developers to come into the system, I don't mind buying Palantir again. I just don't like it as part of my portfolio because I like to buy companies that are clearly monopolistic. And that means you have to get millions and millions of people to use your product. If you are, you could be monopolistic in the Fortune 500. That's absolutely true. Maybe this is a Fortune 500 monopoly, but I don't look at those, right? I need something that's more for everybody. That's what I look at. So never actual bear in terms of my thesis, unlike Carlos's. I don't care if Palantir kills everybody. Okay. Like that's not my bear thesis. Okay.
Someone's going to clip this, send it to HR. They'll be like, look at what they're saying about Palantir. No, to me, bro, it's like sports. Like if I like the Knicks and the Knicks lose, then fuck it. I gotta take some shit someday. If the Knicks win, then I get to give some shit. So to me, it's just sports. I wanted to do the segment.
So hold on. So is Palantir hitting all-time highs? Is this why everybody's attacking now?
No, it touched 18 today, so people are excited.
So everybody's really happy about it. Yeah, by the way, if I'd have kept my Palantir position, I would have still been down. Just FYI.
You made the right decision.
I bought it at $25, okay? Just to give the backstory, since people don't remember. I bought it at $25. I sold at $12. I lost half my money, $25,000, turned into $12. At $130 last time Enphase was at that price, and I told you about it. You remember it? I said I'm putting my money into Enphase, and way more than that.
That's true. When I was in your Tesla, Enphase was at $130, March 2020.
And I said, I'm buying Enphase right now with this Palantir money and more. I actually bought way more. And it went to 300, and I got a pool, and I got some Teslas from it. It seemed to work out okay, not being in Palantir all this time for me, okay? So going back to 18, I would have made nothing. I would have just been upset that I'm still down $7. That's what I've been upset about. But now I have a pool.
It's sports.
So there you go.
So this is what I want to talk before KRIS got in, because this is something Vitaly's going to have the floor to talk about, but we got to do a quick 5 minutes on this. Your buddy's up 10% in the past 5 days. It's doing pretty damn well. It bottomed at 112, I think, and now it's rallying. I know there's a lot you can say about Enphase, but any updated thoughts on why we're seeing this rally outside of the macro doing well? Or is it all just macro?
Well, yeah, I mean, the market has sort of flipped for a lot of these stocks that have been beaten down. They're going up now, everybody's happy about it right now. I do want to share then, since you're asking, let's share the chart, what I think about
Since Enphase. You brought it up and
you brought it up.
Might as well spend 5 minutes and discuss it. No, I'm happy for you. It's going up. I'm really happy because I didn't like seeing Enphase at 1.
Well, I was not thrilled, by the way, because I'm still buying, and I even bought yesterday, by the way, so I'm still buying. Okay, but I was hoping it would just collapse to the $100. Like that, because what does it matter if it's 112 or 100 or
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter? So it going up is not actually beneficial if you want to collect shares cheaper.
That's fair. That is
But
fair.
so the higher it goes, I don't want to buy more shares, by the way. The lower it goes, I do want to buy more shares. It's very simple with me. There's no complicated thing here. I believe this is a great company being smashed. And I don't care if it's smashed for 2 years, because my end goal is not to be wealthy for 2 years or just make 10%. My end goal is to literally 5, 10x. And the lower this goes, the 10x becomes reasonable. That's the thing. Remember, we were talking about maybe this is like a 3x. Remember at 300, we were talking about this? I was like, all right, maybe I have a 3x here from here. That's possible. Maybe I got to wait a decade. All of a sudden, it's not. Now it's like a 9x to me. So the lower it goes, the better I'll do. And the reason is because I did take profits, you know, and I want to buy back in. So these are the main reasons. So let me share this chart.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. TJ, what's up? What's up? Let's go Enphase, Jay Santiago. We got a lot to talk about today, a lot of stuff. We'll do some TA real quick on Enphase, and then we will move on.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, is Enphase a great buy? I think yes, absolutely. And I'm actually surprised that the bounce took this long, because if you look at, it's more in the daily. Let me go to the daily. So if you go to the daily chart, you know, there's certain support levels that it kept bouncing off of, right? And you saw it right here at around 114 or so, but I was thinking that it wouldn't even get down there. So it did it once where it broke through. Well, it had a little spot where it failed and then broke through, then touched it again, and now we are here third, maybe fourth time even. But having said that, I'm still not super bullish yet, even though it's up. And that's because we haven't broken out of our main downtrend, which is still pretty big. But is it a great price to be buying Enphase for the long term? Absolutely. Like this is very strong support. And even if it breaks down, I don't know what people expect. Like my worst case scenario here is $70 is like the apocalypse. I'm talking about when I say worst case, I don't think this is going to happen, but this is the apocalypse, $70. So, but when I start looking at the chart, just I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This has been the trend for Enphase for a long time. So the trend is up, okay? The trend is not down. It's short-term down, absolutely. And we can go maybe $90, who knows, whatever happens. But I'm looking at 2025, 2026. I think we're at $400. So this is why I was saying, like, if this was a $100 stock, now I have a 4x in a couple of years. I don't have to wait 10 years. So the more I buy as it goes lower, the better it is. But in terms of the current trend, it is still down. We have not broken out. So anybody who thinks about like a 10% pump being anything, it doesn't mean anything. So if you want to buy some shares and you're DCAing, yeah, go ahead. I don't see any issue, but we are definitely not broken out of this downtrend. So that is the negative part, that we can be going lower still.
And that segues really well into the next topic, this idea of not being out of the doghouse yet. PPI data comes out today. It's more hotter than expected. It's less than last month, but on some other metrics, it was much hotter than expected. Chris, what were your thoughts on how the market basically went down like 0.5% as soon as the news came out and then swallowed it up and just rallied right back because it seems like they didn't care? And what are your expectations for CPI tomorrow?
CPI will come in hotter than most people expect, but core will be fine. Like it's the same thing we just spoke about today. So on the Patreon, which was pretty much oil prices are what drove PPI higher, you know, and that was it. Like the last 3 months, oil prices are higher, input costs go higher, producers' costs go higher. That's simple. But now oil is kind of like leveling off. So yeah, it's fine. It's not nearly the big deal that people think it is, you know. There's a possibility that we get a 3.5, 3.6. You know, I don't
think
think
CPI
it really
matters at all tomorrow. Do you
no.
think it's going to be one?
In
of
my
those
opinion, no. In my
Why?
opinion, no.
Why?
Yeah, mainly because it doesn't really make a difference. You know, we're already in a deflationary scenario where we're headed. Like, look at what I put on Twitter. I think that chart sums it up really well. You know, and there's a reason why the Fed only looks at core and they don't look at like headline as much. Click on that real quick.
What is this chart? What are you showing?
Okay, so this is PPI headline, right? Which is the what's in blue. So you see that reacceleration that we just saw from literally 0 to 2.7. That is what I mean. That's what everyone's like screeching about right now, right? You see the thing in the blue?
Yeah.
That spike.
Yep.
That absolutely does not make a really big difference. What you really want to see is that downtrend is not being broken for the gray line, which is X food and energy. The reason why is because food and energy prices, not so much food, but energy especially can be very volatile depending on geopolitical issues. So like right now we had geopolitical issues and oil shot up like, 30-40% within 3 months. And then like what is that, like from January to May it went down close to like 40%. So you can't really use that as a true metric of inflation, where inflation is going. So I would say, right, what are you doing, Brent? Last day? No, you that's
I'm looking at
wrong.
the wrong thing.
Yeah, you're looking at the wrong thing. You're look at futures for it.
Oh, sorry.
So just go to oilprices.com and you'll see the prices at the top. And I'll explain. Just go to oil prices. No, I'll go back.
I actually never went to this website. Oh,
yeah, oilprice.com. There you go. Yeah. So you see the top right there, WTI crude. WTI crude is what we have here in the US. These are all the different types of grades of oil. And then you also have natural gas and you have everything else. So like right now, if you look at it on a futures basis, WTI is still going further down. So if you look on the left-hand side, you can see where oil spiked in July all the way through the middle of September. You see that giant spike going from $70 all the way to 96, and then now it's kind of come down a little bit. So you can see that we've actually kind of found a top and a bottom with oil trading at a certain range. That's the most important thing right now. So as long as it stays range bound, it doesn't go way beyond the high expectations, inflation overall is coming down. So energy led the way in decelerating inflation from May through July, but then that reacceleration in oil prices kind of put some of those higher headline numbers up. So at this point, all we have to do now is oil prices have to stay the same and maybe decline a little bit, and year over year inflation is going to be lower. So we're in a disinflationary scenario. So right now prices are not going up nearly as much as as they were last year, and that's what the Fed actually wanted. So I'm not saying that mission accomplished, the Fed is done, everything is good and hunky-dory. It's just we're in the right track. And so right now, even when VITALY, you were talking about Enphase, the reason why Enphase has been rallying is because the expectations of future hikes is starting to like diminish.
It's and now an 11% chance on November versus 30% 3 weeks ago.
Right. So what happens with that? That means that higher interest rates are less likely to happen, and more likely we end up seeing cuts next year, or or the year after that, whatever. And that ends up being that if you see those cuts, companies like Enphase will be like a rubber band and sling much higher, right? Because there's pent up demand of people wanting to buy solar, but people holding off because the interest rates had spiked up so much. So as interest rates come down, more and more buyers are going to be stepping into the market, buying solar not just solar panels, but micro inverters along with it. So I think the market recognizes that. Traders and investors recognize that, and they're saying, look, I want to get in on this early, because the market, remember, is always forward looking. It's not backward looking. So if you're forward looking, you want to be in an industry that's going to benefit from lower interest rates. So a lot of companies have been rallying based on that forward outlook.
Want to give a shout out to this super chat. Big Ray, OG member of the pod. Between Finance Junkies, Cash Flow Chronicles, SoFi Palantir Weekly, amidst wacky market open, you guys provide more value than my master's program. Keep it up. That's funny, because I went to business school and I learned more about I took Macro Econ 101. None of it made sense. It was all memorization of formulas. But YouTube and just like studying the markets day in and day out, even 30 minutes a day, I think I have a much better understanding of macroeconomics than that class. So yeah, sometimes just learning it yourself and listening to other people helps. Thank you for the super chat, man. Okay, VITALY, or go ahead.
Well, so I just want to disagree with KRIS.
Okay, there we go. Some controversy.
No, only one part of it. He's right on everything else. I think we are in a disinflation period. That's all happening. Rates will come down. I think that's all true. And oil has been keeping, the inflation story still alive. Okay. But the part that I don't agree with, I think the market fluctuates when, if you look at the history even of of the charts, I do believe in some technical analysis that September and October are usually bloody months. They're usually down. And there's usually two peaks that are down if you actually look at the chart. And then there's a recovery that happens afterwards, which I think we are sort of, but it doesn't have to be massive. I'm not saying a recovery of bull market. I'm just saying there's a recovery that happens. So I think Enphase right now is, along with many stocks, in one of those recoveries because like shitty stocks are up too. Like we can look at just companies that don't make any money.
What shitty stock is up?
I don't know. Open Door. Open Door's open last couple of days. Like there's a lot of shitty stocks that are up. Go take a look. My point is, market has fluctuations. We had our September, October, and whatever we think in terms of the macros happening, this sort of happens all the time, especially in pre-election years. You know, if you follow any of that data. So I think that's what's happening now more than the fact that people understand that rates for a company like Enphase are going down. Because at the end of the day, that's going to take, I know it's going to take at least a year, maybe if not 2 years to play out to really be what people want, which is under 5% for those loans, right?
Yeah.
Under 6% and 5%. So I don't think that's happening next year. I don't think we're under 5% in terms of like the solar loans. That's what I'm talking about, right? Because right now the solar loans are high. They are 10, 11, 12%. In fact, if you have bad credit, it's 14%. It's 18%. If you don't have good credit. If you have good credit, you're probably paying 10, 11%. So that's still too high. I think we need some time for all of this to play out. It doesn't mean Enphase will be a bad company and they won't make any money. It just means they're not growing at 30, 40, 50%. So whatever's happening right now, I don't believe it's what you said in the last bit, Chris. It's just the fluctuations of the market. I think Enphase has to pump back to support. Then we see what happens.
What is support? Like 150-ish?
140-ish, 145-ish. So I think we should be, I'm surprised it's taking this long, by the way, to get there. I thought it would actually get there sooner. So I think we're going to somewhere around there. And then actually it lines up perfectly with Enphase's Q3. And if they release bad numbers, guess where we're going? We're going straight back
below
down.
100. We're going, yeah.
Well, at least we're going to 100. I don't know about below 100, but whatever. We're going straight down. It is possible to hit below 100. Who knows? And
it might not. It might not. They sandbagged themselves into a really good position because
they did sandbag themselves. Yeah.
That's one of the best things a CEO can do. Like in the short term, they'll take some pain, which they did last quarter when they came out with the numbers and said, "Look, man, we see some material weakness," but also means that the expectations are low, which means that it won't take much to beat their own estimates.
And Badri is a smart fella. He sort of sets things up where he knows. I think he understands a lot of this stuff, and he's very conservative. So that is possible they beat and we just go off to the moon, which I'm fine. I'm on the train. Okay. So if I never bought it,
you're not on the train. You're the conductor. You're like, you're the guy. You are the guy on the internet that is known for Enphase.
I'm
There's
like,
no one else.
Okay, we're ready to go, fellas.
And meet Kevin. Don't forget about meet Kevin.
Does he even talk? Does he even care about it anymore? Oh, wait, it's in his portfolio, right?
Yeah.
It's
but just me and Carlos were on this train way before him. He showed up a year after we did. And the first time was April 2020. And then he came later, but still,
dude, I remember watching.
But he's bigger, so he gets all the credit.
100%. I remember in 2021, I was watching his market open, and he said Lucid was good at 36, and I can't blame him. It was 2021, everything was crazy. But now, just knowing like Lucid, I'm like, damn, bro. And I think he got out of it a long time ago, but obviously,
he had a lot of bad stock picks. There's another one. What's the one that competes with? It's like Open Door. What's the other one? There's a couple of these real estate companies.
Redfin.
He was big on Redfin.
But he made money on them. That's the thing, because he's got rid of them before.
Bro, everyone made money in 2021.
Yeah. 2021 was easy.
2021, you could have threw a dartboard at the market and you picked anything and you made
the dartboard.
Dude,
the whole dartboard.
Neo 20x'd in 6 months. It went from $6 to $58. 20, like that's insane. It's just.
Ridiculous. I had Neo
$3 to $63.
I had Neo at 3 when you had it, by the way. But I sold it at I think 4 or something like that.
6. I sold it at 6. Yeah.
But then I bought it at 10 again because
I didn't do that. I got emotional when I saw it go to 11. My sister, I was like, no, fuck Neo. I don't care. It's 11 now, and then it ran up to 50.
Well, I saw what was happening with EV stock, so at least I bought Neo. I should have sold at 60. I didn't sell all of it at 60 though. That was the problem.
Dude, 30. Neo will always have a special place in my heart because it was the first stock on Robinhood that I bought. I downloaded Robinhood. I saw Neo at $1.22. I was like, Chinese EVs. Okay. I jumped into it. I was in business class. It was 2020 January. I was like, Chinese EVs. Fuck it. I bought 400 shares. Spent $400. Like, what the fuck?
But it shows you when you're right in a certain time period, accept the win and sell a portion of that speculative company because it was still speculative, obviously. So.
Dude, I bought Plug Power at $1.22.
Yeah, that's another one.
And then it ran up to like 120 or something. I sold it at $2. I was like, what the fuck is Plug Power?
Oh, you were smart enough to buy it, not to hold it a little bit longer.
Okay, so transitioning topics. Question, Vitaly, why were you not here yesterday?
Oh, I was playing VR.
I knew it. I knew it.
You said you had kid duty.
That was
this
a joke.
Doesn't look like a child. It looks like a grown woman in a bed.
First of all, that's like 10 o'clock, by the way. What time is that? What time is that?
I don't really care about the time. All I know is you didn't show up to work because this is what you were tweeting about. And I'm just confused. A, why did you not show up to work for this? And B, what was your wife's experience with the medical?
Yeah, it's so funny. I actually haven't. Yeah, everybody loves it. By the way, they think it's actually amazing. But I didn't show up because I had a baseball game to go to. My kid plays in baseball, and they're actually kicking ass. So
Plays in the metaverse baseball? Or?
not in the metaverse. This is real baseball. He's young. He's 10. He's playing baseball, and his team is actually winning. I don't think they've lost one game this season.
I got it too, man. I was playing it last night.
Okay, so what do you? What,
by the way, Chris, me and you,
you guys like?
Let's go to there's something called Big Screen VR. If you haven't heard it, we can go meet in the metaverse, watch a movie, share some fake popcorn.
Okay.
Dude, would you ever do a first date with a girl in the metaverse? Like, do you think she would be down? Like, try like a first date, like a real
Tinder, right? That's
sort of like that, right?
Yeah.
I think she would be like, that sucks. But okay, so what's your experience using it? Are you enjoying it? Do you think it's better than Quest 2? What do you think?
Yeah, so okay, like the main difference is so if you use the Quest 2, you're very familiar with this. The main difference is the fidelity is better. So the actual you get more pixels, right? Better graphics if you care about that. But also the AR stuff now. The original one, Quest 2, I don't know if you remember, it was all black and white and grainy images, right? Now it's actually the world is integrated into your environment. And maybe I'll film a little video and share it on Twitter and just show like what it looks like. But it's much higher fidelity. You can walk around and it actually scans your whole room as you're walking and builds a whole like 3D model of it.
Yeah, there's no more Guardian system where you have to draw it out yourself.
You don't have to use that. So they're making it simpler for like people to use. That's actually important. The Guardian thing was really complicated for a lot of people who don't know VR to get into VR, because now you have to figure out what is this thing I have to draw. You know what I mean? And now it just maps it. It makes it a little bit easier. But still, I think one thing Apple does win at is that they make things super dumb for anybody to come into their ecosystem. I think VR is still a little bit too difficult for anyone who's not willing to actually try to learn about it. So maybe KRIS is better because I already knew about it. It's just better for me, a better experience with this new one. And the kids, by the way, I want to mention the kids. My kid put it on. He's like, oh my God, this is effing amazing. I'm like, don't curse. And he understood it right away, like how much better it was, than the Quest 2. And they play a game called Gorilla Tag. They play it every single week. They just love that game. So they spend hours in VR. And everybody asks me, oh, do you use this thing every day? No, the kids are using it every day. That's who's going to be growing up and using this thing, not us old people. And
so after using it, are you more bullish, Meta?
Yeah, I think what they're doing is actually nobody else is going to compete in them, especially in price. I think it's very difficult for the actual technology they're putting into this thing to compete at the $500 level. So that's very, that's a unique proposition.
The things I like about it are that, just like you said, it looks great. Like I had the Meta Quest 2. I used it for like Vader Immortal. What's the other couple of games? What's the fucking slashing game?
Fencing?
No. It's like
Candy
the
Crush?
most popular.
Fruit Ninja?
No. It was like it's the thing that everyone plays. I don't know. It's basically you get a sword and there's blocks come at you and you just hit them. I forgot what the damn thing is called, but I had that. I had a few games on it and they were fun. But the thing is, I ended up getting headaches, so I stopped playing it. Right, and then I just gave it to my brother-in-law and he plays it all the time. He loves it. This one I didn't get nearly the amount of headaches. Like I didn't feel Beat Saber. There you go. I didn't get the headaches. The one thing I didn't like about it as much, but it's like a minor, just a me thing, is I like using my Bluetooth headphones because it's got noise cancellation and everything else. And the thing is, when you put it on, because like the sides are like extended out a little bit, you can't really put like your own headphones. It does have Bluetooth in it. So I connected the Bluetooth to my headphones and I was able to get like, it's just annoying, but it does work. And I'm sure that there's like some modification kits that are going to be coming that basically allow you to change out the straps.
And they will have that. I think I agree. I didn't test my Bluetooth headphones, but yes, I could see that being an issue. But the sound is also better on this one, by the way. I don't know if you listen to the actual sound.
Yeah. The other annoying thing about it though was that and this is just a one-time thing. It's just the setup where I had to constantly like take it off, put it back on, take it back off, put it on to basically because I have to keep entering codes on my phone to like set it up. But it's just the setup part that's like that. Now it's very easy. I just put it on. I'm good to go.
No. You bring up a valid point. Why VR is not easy for people, because this whole taking it off, they need to. I don't know if you check this out, but Quest 2 was much more of the up and down.
Yeah.
And now when you started the process in Quest 3, it actually goes to your phone. Did you finish it on your phone? So it was much less of that, but still, it's not perfect. They definitely have to work on that.
Yeah, so that was the other thing. But other than that, I mean, so far my experience has been good. The battery life is amazing. You know, I played for a good hour and some change, and I think I still had like 25% battery left. I had to work, so I didn't really like play with it that much. And like today, I just slept with it.
Just slept with it.
I
He's
really
cuddling it.
I slept on it. I didn't really use it. I need to figure out how to do like this desks thing that they were showing in
Desktop, yes.
yeah. Not VR desktop, but actually like using the metaverse and like having a desk and which you have like multiple screens, you know, where you have like one screen here, one there, and one there. Cause that would be a very useful feature. You know, I was watching and the other thing I need to do, I might have to actually buy a new PC, like because I have a very like basic PC for just, you know, for this. And I have my MacBook Pro, but I need like I want to do PC VR, which means I need to get like a beefed up gaming PC with like a good graphics card, because this way I can actually use the Airlink. Because right now the Airlink looked like garbage when I used it. So
you could also use the USB-C cable if you want to go directly.
Yeah. I figured, you know what, it's time for me to get a gaming PC. I needed one anyway. So
Do you actually game, bro? Like, do you have time to play video games?
Not that much, but you know what? I kind of want to start doing that. I
Yeah.
want to get more into gaming only because
They're fun, man.
well, you know what it is? It's I'm trying to get my brain off of investing. I know that sounds weird, but like, dude, ever since I started doing the Patreon and doing Finance Junkies and then Cash Flow Chronicles and
Twitter.
Twitter, and it's just like, bro, like this is not. I've turned this into a full-time job, and that's not what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to just be, but at the same time, this is like the next 6 months, in my opinion, are like the best times to be in the market and pick some really, really great companies that are selling at huge discounts and then just riding the wave higher for the next 10 years. Like I'm telling you, the two companies that I'm looking at seriously for my dividend portfolio is AMT and CCI. Both of those companies pay great dividends, have tremendous cash flows, a very insulated business. Verizon is another one.
Let's do that. You want to do a little segment on Verizon? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Vitaly, you own this stock too, a little bit, right?
Actually, I sold it off maybe a month ago for Enphase. I think that I took Verizon and some of my Divvy stocks. Remember we talked about that? I was selling some Divvy stocks. But I would have kept Verizon.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this because I have one quick article. I think Vitaly can take the lead on this article for 5 minutes. Then we'll do Verizon. Then we'll have a special guest who's coming in at 7:45.
Oh, I should send him a link too. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't send it? I'll send it. Don't worry. I'll handle it. So this right here, this will make both of you happy. Also will make Bill Ackman happy. YouTube has passed Netflix as the top video source for teens, according to a new survey. 29% of teens spend their daily video consumption time on Google-owned YouTube, beating out Netflix for the first time. You would think this was a thing that's happening, but no, Netflix was taking teenagers away from YouTube. 28.7% of the time. Now it is 29% YouTube. So just quick take on what do you think this means for Google and any potential trajectory this has for the stock going forward?
Google will become the most valuable company on the planet in about 5 years. It's going to be bigger than Apple. It's going to be bigger than Microsoft.
Okay, we got a take. Here we go.
Put it in the calendar.
I'll give you a simple reason why. Number one, Google search is their cash flow machine, which is great. YouTube is such a great platform because all these streamers right now, they're all raising prices. All this content people are watching, they're watching on YouTube, and and there's just no video platform that monetizes as well as YouTube. The content creators are all on YouTube, so they have a very big moat around this business. One of the most unspoken things is the number of people finally out of the United States in the world getting onto the internet. The reason why is because what's happening is, before, in order to connect to the internet, let's say you're in India you basically couldn't really get the internet.
You need to hop on a cow to take you to like a certain
No,
area.
stop, man. Stop
Hey, if I
stop
said that,
perpetuating
that'd be
stereotypes.
racist.
Stop perpetuating stereotypes, man.
It's not racist.
So-
I saw cows shitting on the street when I was there 5 years.
That's true, but you gotta stop. You gotta stop with that, man. We're trying to fix the cow
I
situation.
started
man.
embracing I was like, oh, I'll take a shit here too. Let's just do it.
See, man, you gotta. I don't know what's going on in the Pind and Punjab, okay, but in Gujarat, we stopped doing that, bro. All right.
This is going on in New Jersey.
Going on in New Jersey.
So right now with 5G internet is going to be the next big thing. Like everyone knows it, like you guys see it. I have 5G home internet. It's a great product, but what's amazing about it is that the low cost to really just set it up. All you really need is a tower. You put some giant antennas on it, and boom, you're good to go. And now you can link up a whole bunch of people with the internet. And if you look at 5G adoption in other parts of the world, it's just going gangbusters. It's like crazy. So what does that mean with high-speed internet? If you have high-speed internet, you're going to do things with that high-speed internet. One of the things that people are going to be doing, consuming content, is YouTube. If you ask Mr. Beast where his biggest population of people are that watch his content outside the United States, it's actually India. So look at the growth rate in 5G right now. So imagine right now, all these people that are almost 4 billion people are going to have high-speed internet by 2027. What do you think most of those people are going to be doing with that high-speed internet? They're going to be on YouTube. They're going to be on Google. They're all gonna be
I was going to say it, but I didn't do it. I was like, all right.
If Pornhub had stock, I would buy it. I would buy it.
Dude, I would buy Pornhub stock in a second.
Yeah. So I would say right now we are in the very early stages of Google's.
But why does that mean 5 years most valuable? Like, Vitaly, do you agree with that? 5 years most valuable company? That's Tesla. You got a lot.
Okay, so
Nvidia.
They have some of the best money you can get. It costs them almost nothing for any individual person to be added to their network. Like it costs them nothing.
Yeah.
So they can scale it to new places, and people use Google services and YouTube. Of course, it only just helps them because they already have the infrastructure there. Same thing for Facebook. That's another reason that as Facebook continues to grow, WhatsApp and all these things, it's incremental cost for them. Apple, though, and we talked to Apple, why would Apple lose this race if they can't scale their services business as fast because their hardware is expensive? And
a lot
of
4
those
billion people aren't buying an iPhone.
Well, I mean, I think India does love iPhones, right? That is true. But don't they have more Androids?
Not the majority.
They have way more Androids. They have way more Androids.
So, I mean, what is in America? It's probably 50-50, somewhere around there between Android and Apple. Right, if we can check the stats on that, what is it in India? Like,
and remember, in Android's YouTube is pre-downloaded. So Android has a 95.26% share in India. Apple has 3.92%.
Yeah. I mean, look, but that's also in a way sort of bad. That means aren't they on YouTube already?
Well, a lot of people don't have internet in India still.
No, they don't have high-speed internet. But now everyone is getting high-speed internet. It's not just India; it's everywhere around the world, dude. Latin America, Africa, these are places in the world where you just need microtransactions to go through, and it generates a ton of money.
Well, so 2023, India had 1.2 billion users on the internet. But only 52% of the population accessed it once a month. So obviously, if you're using YouTube, you're using it every day. So there's a lot more people that could use it every single day versus just once a month.
Yep. So right now, we're in a place where we're going to see massive numbers of people coming online, coming on the internet. And this is where even companies like Netflix are going to do well too, because that just means that there's going to be more people that get into these ecosystems, right? YouTube itself is the lowest entry to ecosystem. And also remember, in terms of content creation, it's fucking free. We're doing it for these motherfuckers right now. They're monetizing. They're making money off of us.
And they took 50% off a super chat too.
Right. And by the way, the guys, when you put a super chat in, we're not getting all of it. We're getting, is it 50%?
I think they take 30%. They take
30%. We get 70% of it. But think about it. YouTube had to do fucking bupkis to get that money. Literally.
Look, and this goes back to my thesis. Me and Vitaly have been talking about this for years now about YouTube versus Netflix as well. Obviously, there's a market for Netflix, but the new Drake album came out, For All the Dogs. I have been obsessed with getting people's reviews of the album because I'm a huge Drake fan. Album was a little bit of a letdown. It's kind of growing on me. I want to know what other people think. This YouTube algorithm, every day I'm discovering new creators that have less than 1,000 subscribers, giving some great music commentary on this album. I'm subscribing. I'm discovering them. I'm learning who they are. And that cycle is just happening and happening. And 3 billion people, they care about music. They're going to want to talk about Drake in the next couple of years. I just don't see how YouTube loses. And as a result, obviously Google.
No, YouTube is not losing. I think the question that was posed, will YouTube overtake Apple? That's really the bottom line.
Remember, and remember what I just spoke about right now is just one leg of Google's argument. Number two is their goddamn cloud business, which is growing like crazy too. When you combine AI powered cloud compute, and Google right now is the dominant person, that's a dominant company right now that's providing all the AI tools for a lot of these startups. Once again, that creates another business for Google that they can monetize. And this is like a very, very early stage of all of this. They are literally the toll bridges sitting right in between AI adoption for a lot of businesses and a lot of companies. So that is going to be another giant business for them going forward, right?
Yeah,
Google has it. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, let me add to that. Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. Google's actually one of my larger positions. The other thing that I'm glad Google's doing this now, thanks to OpenAI, of course, is that who else is going to compete with them in terms of AI infrastructure and all the things they're doing there? Like, I don't think Apple has any chance in hell, by the way.
Yeah, they have their own. Google has their own infrastructure for AI that they've built out.
They make their own TPUs, their actual own chips.
Yeah. You know, well, Broadcom designs them, by the way. Just so many people were given like they forget about this, but Broadcom is actually the secret sauce behind Google's TPUs. But that's not the point. But Google is monetizing the shit out of their hardware. Unlike the other cloud providers, which are kind of beholden a little bit to the NVIDIAs of the world, and they're trying to break away too, by the way. Microsoft is coming out with their own product called Athena. AWS has their Infernia line. So, you know, everyone is doing their thing with trying to get more hardware internalized. But Google has the lead in that. And when you combine the amount of cash flow that Google is generating, and on top of it, they're doing a fucking massive share buyback every single dude. This year they're doing 70 billion. Next year they're probably going to do about 80. The year after that, 90 billion. Year after that, probably 10 fucking billion in buybacks. When you're buying back that many shares, your market cap is going to soar. So it's simple. And unlike Apple right now, if you look at Apple's revenues, they're flat for the last 3 years. I don't know if you know that. Flat versus Google's that are still rising. And then on top of it, Google now can do fucking AI targeted advertising, which is going to be even more hyper focused on a per person basis. So Google is like, to me right now, Google is like the biggest no brainer in the market, you know.
Shout out to Kelly. Thank you for the super chat. Enjoy your $7 of Monopoly. Money split the ways. You're welcome. Thank you for that. And TJ, thank you for the $10. I'm 3,500 shares deep into Enphase, over 1 million in open cash cleared puts at 150, 145 strike. I'm hoping to scoop another 1,500 shares. All right.
You know, it's unfortunate that TJ is going to end up richer than me because he's buying more shares every day.
Yeah, I think VITALY has like 10,000 shares last time I talked to him.
No, don't even start.
Okay, we got a couple minutes.
I was about to say Amazon is the other one that's being ignored in all of this.
Yes.
And,
yep.
So today I did pick up, by the way, some Amazon spreads, and maybe I'll post them later in at least to you, Chris, and we'll discuss if that was a good one. But I usually go on the safer route where I don't go so out of the money. I was at 135 to 200 somewhere in that spread, 2026. I'm like, how is this stock? How is this stock not? But the return was not as good as Google when we bought those spreads, by the way. If you look at the return, it's like a 3x. I think when we bought the Google spreads, that was a 5x. So that was different, but still 3x. I'll live with it. You know, what am I gonna?
Bro, I have people in my Patreon that have better price on the Google spreads than I do. I have. Shut up, Amit. Shut up. Don't look at. Don't just fucking smile.
Oh, is Amit one of those?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
No, because Chris posted the trade in his Patreon, and then Google had the whole market had a bad day 2 weeks ago, and Chris was like, "Hey guys, they're kind of filling for low prices if you want to get in." And I was like, "All right, let me set some low prices." And these motherfuckers filled. Robinhood was like, "Sure," and I was like, "Holy shit, this is a great day to buy them."
Yeah. So now they're up like 30%. you know, literally within a week. But this is the thing, when the market really does dip and they're selling off amazing companies like Google did not need to go down from 138 to 130. Like that made absolutely no sense because it did, like
It was at
interest
128 at one point.
Yeah. Interest rates have no impact on Google. They don't have any debt. They have nothing but fucking cash sitting on their balance sheet and they're cash flow positive like there's no tomorrow. A recession comes, and this is the same thing I start with when anytime any of the Patreon people, I speak to them and, you know, they're like, oh, why Google? I'm just like, here's a question. If you lost your job and we have a recession, do you think you'll be using less YouTube or more YouTube? He's like, probably more. I'm like, there you go. So tell me, is a recession risk a Google problem? It's
Well,
like, no.
yeah, to be honest, the rates can come down in terms of ad spend. That can happen.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not going away. You will watch more YouTube, just like you'll watch
Yeah.
more Netflix.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know if that argument about ad spend coming, because throughout 2022, Meta and Google didn't drop because their ad revenue declined. It was because they were bloated. So they had too many costs. Like I didn't actually see massive decline in ad spending. It seemed like the ads are so cheap, anyone will buy them, even if it's a recession. But I could be wrong on that.
The thing is, the ads, remember, what happens is ad spending is like this all the time. The difference is they waffle a little bit lower and then they go back up again and they keep going higher. And the reason for that is what happens is the pace at which those ads grow actually slows down. And that's what happened in 2022 and some part of 2023 right now, where a lot of businesses were like, hey, listen, we need to scale back a little bit on our advertising. That doesn't mean that businesses are going to stop advertising. That just means that they're going to be, and the good thing is though, with Facebook and Meta, they have some of the best targeting algorithms for those ads, which means that businesses are going to say, hey, listen, instead of trying to focus on just putting out our brand and not getting the ROI, we want to do targeted advertising that gives us the highest amount of ROI. So here's an example.
Performance-based metrics. Yeah.
Right. So here's an example. I was on Instagram. My wife had sent me some clips because that's what we do, right? We all send each other reels. So I'm on it. And one of the reels came up to be a chiropractor that's literally across the street from me, right? I would never have really gone to that chiropractor, but they were having a sale and I saw it and I was like, oh, you know, and I went, I got the chiropractor, you know, I got an adjustment done, whatever. And they made some money on that. But think about the ROI on that. They got an easy conversion. Why? Because Meta knows where I live, how far away I am, and that I watched a video on chiropractors literally a little while ago, you know? So this is the kind of stuff. Yeah. That data is the most important part of advertising. So if you guys know, this is something called a knowledge graph. What happens is these algorithms are developed around a knowledge graph. So basically those suggestions will come to you based on the things that you search, the things you watch, and basically they will know you before you know yourself.
Meta spending billions to make them even better this year.
Yeah, they are amazing. I've always clicked on Instagram ads, just like you said, because they're sort of specific to me, you know? They know me best. For some reason, Twitter cannot understand what I like, no matter how many ads. It's all just Chinese products.
Yeah, Elon's got to fix that part.
But in terms of what you said, Chris, or what we were talking about, so the ad spend, we were saying that it didn't decrease in terms of like people like per 1,000 views or whatever. Like, so Meta was still charging the same amount, but the difference is that a business, they would spend it over a year instead of let's say 6 months. So, and at the same time, they'd be like, maybe I can delay some spend, right? So that's where they get hit in terms of, oh, you don't see as many ads now, or they're just delayed into the future. So I think that was happening in the last couple of years.
But before a special guest comes in, we'll do Verizon tomorrow because that'll be a longer segment. We don't have time for that.
We're going to talk about Unity.
Yeah, we'll talk about Unity in about 3 minutes. A quick response from both of you on this. Blake says, Google censors, so I'm not going to make money off them. Response.
That's fine. You don't have to. Yeah. See you later.
Like, dude, I love Lockheed Martin. But I don't want to be in a defense contractor.
That's well, I do have a real question for Blake. Blake, do you buy VOO, VYM? Do you buy any of the actual indexes? I'm curious. If he does, he owns Google, first of all.
That is true. The censorship thing too. I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, they're a private business. They have a ton of advertisers. If they want to get some shit off the platform so they keep their ad business straight.
Dude,
Elon's choosing to go the other direction. That's his choice.
I am actually not. I was very opposed to censorship, but after everything that's happened with the Palestine and Israel thing, I'm not for like hardcore censorship. But dude, like, I don't want, like, let's say I have a kid, right? I don't want my kid going on Twitter and basically I'm seeing like people get shot up and killed and like all sorts of I mean, yes, some of it people should know, like adults should know what is actually going on over there so that this way they can take this whole thing seriously. But dude, I don't want to see like people getting mutilated, and I don't want my kids seeing that early in their life, you know. I want some safeguards there, and I'm sure that Twitter has some. First of all, I don't. Yeah, first of all,
Twitter's open the line cage. Google
Yeah.
has a ton of safeguards, and people say Google's too authoritarian for that. So
yeah, well, the thing is, it's not about Google though. It's about the advertisers. The advertisers are what control Google's ability to censor and not censor. So if most advertisers find that some things are just too sexually explicit, they won't monetize it. Same thing with violence, you know. So it's up to the advertisers, not so much Google. So whenever people fault Google or Meta about censoring, my whole thing is, bro, they have to please their customer, and their customer is the advertiser. So,
all right, we got our special guest in here, our guy, friend of the pod, fellow host on SoFi Weekly, Tevis. VITALY, take it away. Get us through this Unity stuff going on. I'm putting Tevis's Twitter and YouTube.
If anyone still cares about the Unity stuff, say it again.
I said, y'all have to stop with this special guest stuff. It's always me, man.
Yo, everyone on YouTube just passes you around. We're like, here's a special guest. Here's a special guest.
So we were talking, obviously, some information has come out about the CEO quitting for Unity. Anyone who's still paying attention to any of this drama. And that was my only bear case. Along with Tevis, I think we talked about, like, all I have left is that the CEO is there, and I don't know when he's going to quit. I was like, this could be 2 years from now, and I don't want to hold a dead stock for 2 years. And Tevis is like, this guy's getting old. And lo and behold, a week later, he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was very much his decision that he's gone. He was absolutely fired. But obviously, you're not going to say, like, what? You don't believe
the board of directors called his ass in and said, listen, you fucked up. Call it a day. Clear your office out by the end of the day. Have a great day.
Let me push back. You think he unilaterally made that decision, or it wasn't a company-wide? Like, why is he?
No, board of directors made that decision.
So then, why is he taking the fall for it if the whole board approved the decision to raise the price?
No, the buck stops at him, dude.
Yeah.
So you think 3 weeks ago he made the decision to raise the prices?
Yeah, he said this is a good plan, people.
I mean, the CEO is the operator. The board of directors are the shareholders who basically the CEO reports to, right? And like, it's an executive position. They're always going to say, stepping down or retiring or pursuing another opportunity. They're never going to say we fired his ass, because it just looks unprofessional. But the proof is in the pudding. If you read between the lines, he's going to retire from the CEO position. He's going to retire as chairman. He's going to, relinquish his position on the board of directors, and all effective immediately. Like, he was fired.
There's no transition period. If anyone's actually sort of leaving of their own volition, you would say, okay, in a month or two, let me get the new guy up to speed. But they're like, dude, here's the door. Don't eat your ass on the way out.
The way that it typically works is board of directors, especially the chairman. The chairman is the one that really, like, so everyone looks at the CEO and is like, oh my God, the CEO, blah, blah. No, it's the chairman that you really have to look at, because the chairman is really who controls a lot of the stuff that goes on. The CEO basically goes to the board of directors and says, hey, I have this great idea. Should I do this? And the board of directors usually says, yes, no, maybe, okay, gotcha. The board of directors is typically made up of seasoned operators who have years and years of experience running companies, and they're independent of the company itself. Their job is to look out for the shareholder. So if the CEO comes in and says, hey, listen, I want to raise my pay 200%, the board of directors is the one that has to approve it and say yes or no. So if the
but that's my point. When he came up with this thing of raising prices, you think the board of directors said no and he went against them? Obviously, he had to consult them before he put this shit out 2 weeks ago. Because if they said yes, and now they're firing him.
No, that's an operational decision. That's a small operational decision. So no, they're not going. He doesn't have to go to them every time.
Small decision. That was a pretty big policy that they announced.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say.
If they didn't consult their core users who they entirely pissed off their community, you think they're going to consult their board of directors?
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And so, like I said, the board of directors had a meeting. They basically said, this guy is not right. They started to do a process. They searched out, Jim Whitehurst, formerly from IBM. He was formerly from Red Hat. They got acquired by IBM. And he was available. They called him in and said, hey, listen, would you mind serving as interim CEO? He said yes, and the next day they called this guy in and says effective immediately, you're out.
So
This
Tavis,
guy's
do
been
you,
a
Tavis, do
CEO.
you like this Jim guy?
Well, I don't have an opinion on Whitehurst. I mean, he's like a veteran in the space, right? From 2008 all the way to 2020, I think it was. I mean, company was bought out, Red Hat. So he's been in the tech space for quite a long time. Interestingly, as well.
Well, has John, by the way?
What's that?
John was in the tech space for a long time too.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean,
that's the CEO, the former CEO.
Yeah, EA underperformed with John, and so Unity. I mean, I think there's clear reasons why we're happy to get him out. Before we pivot over to John Rictello, I think one thing I will say on James Whitehurst is he was also a special advisor to Silver Lake, which is the biggest shareholder of Unity, about 34 million shares. So basically, like they just called in a friend.
Well, but to bring that up, I'm glad you brought up Silver Lake. Silver Lake ended up selling. We discussed this on your pod, half their position or something like that. As soon as John announced a stupid policy, they sold, like on the day.
Really?
Like it was crazy. Yeah.
How much did they sell?
Like half of it, around there. Go take a look. But it's around half the position was sold immediately, and that's how I knew I had to sell. That's when like the people on the board are like, okay, I'm selling. You know. So my point is that. Yes, they brought in someone they knew, but also maybe this guy was part of that decision to sell as well. Like he could have been part of that. Like this is a stupid move. We shouldn't be doing this, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, I think right now, like they didn't really adjust their guidance. They are going to announce earnings on November the 8th. We're really just waiting to see who the next CEO is going to be. I think personally, I'd love to see an internal transition. Mark Whitten would be the first name I would throw up, simply because Mark Whitten, he's like the head of the Create segment. He was basically the person who did the fireside chat. He like hopped on YouTube and he did like a podcast, and people from the audience started grilling him about the pricing decision. And ultimately he was the one that stepped in front of this mess and claimed responsibility. He said, hey, look, I was personally responsible, even though, you know, when he was asked around the pricing decisions, he said, well, you know, it was like a group decision, and it was evident that he wasn't the one that made the decision, but it was evident also that he was the one that took responsibility for it. And I just think that is a good look.
Yeah, good leaders take the blame. They share and they share the what's the word? The praise. That's what it is. You know.
Well, what was weird when we were covering this is that how come the CEO didn't immediately come on and apologize? Like he was, and I wonder if the board told him, don't even do it. Don't even go up. Or he himself is such a coward that he didn't do it, which is even worse. So it's interesting the inner politics of this company. That's
again, he's like what, 63 or something like that, 62, 63. Yeah. You know, he's made a killing. He's been selling shares all along the way. I think he just wants to you know.
Well, I don't think he wanted to leave. I think they're forcing him out. I don't think he would have.
Is this new guy older or younger than him? Older, right?
Well, he's an interim CEO, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Okay. A lot of times interim turns into permanent too, you know. I mean, it just depends. Jim Whitehurst is probably Jim Whitehurst has way more money than he needs to live a very comfortable life.
How much did he make off how much was the acquisition?
All these guys do. Like literally
a
all
lot.
of them do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me
let me ask a question. If you had to pick any dream CEO for Unity, anyone outside of, you know, someone running a company like Elon already, who would it be? If you were the chairman of the board, you sat on the chair and you were a man, you were the chairman of the board. Tavis, how do you laugh off that, bro? Is it that easy to make you laugh, bro? Is it that easy?
Frank Slootman, easy. Frank Slootman.
Well, I mean, I think Amit's question is loaded because he was like,
they can't be at a public company already. They got to be.
Like, you're not going to have top quality CEOs just chilling unemployed, dude.
Be kind of realistic, but kind of not realistic with the pick. Who do you think? I'm trying to think too. I'm trying to think of like Alex KRIS. I didn't expect that, but I think that's a good pick for PayPal.
You need someone who comes from the developer space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone like John Carmack. He was amazing for Meta when he was there, right? But not as a CEO, maybe as like a creative.
He's not a business guy. He's an amazing creator.
You need someone who's got both aspects. Usually the business aspect, because remember, you need, as the CEO, you have to make business decisions as well as product decisions on which products to move forward, which ones phones to take back, how to price them. So someone internally from the industry, maybe not internally from the company, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to point out, yes, if I had a choice, then it has to be someone who has a strong engineering background, and of
So
course
Al
you want them
Sharpton, right?
to. Of course you were going to say that, but I think the problem with a lot of these guys like John is that they don't have any engineering background that's legitimate. Okay, obviously they hang around engineers and they talk to them, but the fact that he didn't even discuss it with developers, this major change to developers, is kind of crazy. Like, absolutely insane. He would have known about the backlash happening, and I think an engineering mindset would have worked it all out beforehand and got all the people's opinions, got the developers' opinions, got the engineers' opinions too. And I don't think he cared about those people's opinions.
Yeah. So I just want to pick up at that last point that you said. I mean, it's a rock and a hard place, right? Because either he just doesn't know, he's like a business person, like the guy who's like, oh, let's charge you $1 to reload your clip when you're in the middle of a game. And he either doesn't know how the platform works, like he doesn't have that experience on what the core value proposition is to that user demographic, or he just doesn't care. And it's like a more like nefarious type of reason.
Which one's worse? I don't even know which one's worse. They're both so bad.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, Gabe, I think that's a solid pick. The Steam guy, Steam founder.
Yes. Okay. That is a solid pick, actually. In terms of what I'm doing, and maybe you can talk about what you're doing, I started buying back my shares slowly. So I sold half my position. I'm DCAing. I'm not going all back in because this is going to take a long time to play itself out. Now the story is still tainted with this guy has to leave, the new guy has to do something good. So I still think there's time for the accumulation phase of this company.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I want to see who the new CEO is going to be. I don't want to rush back in immediately just to be overly cautious around protecting myself if it's another like bad pick. I think one of the things that has been a learning experience for me, and that, you know, learning experience going forward, that I sort of regret, was not placing as much significance on the management and placing more significance on the actual product itself. Like, coming from a product background, I'm like, okay, well, they're a monopoly. They have secular growth trends in the AR VR space. They dominate the mobile space. It's hard to mess it up, essentially. But I think going forward, management is a huge part of that puzzle. So I just want to wait to see who the next permanent person is going to be and what their tenure is, or what their CV is.
Seymour Duck has got someone good, man. I know this guy from Reggie from Nintendo. He was president of Nintendo America for the longest time. Yeah, and he's from Strong Island, baby. You know, so yeah,
that's another good pick. Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah. I mean, if you see how much Nintendo, considering that like people have considered them dead for a long time, how much they've really grown, kept their market share, and done well. Bro, you need industry veterans like this who have relationships with developers that can help Unity like change its image, you know, to someone who's like a lot more friendly. Because that's at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? You just like Google is beholden to its advertisers, Unity is beholden to its developers. If no one develops on your platform, bro, you're dead in the water. And it's not like they don't have any other alternatives and you're the only game in town. You know, the other guys are out there, so they can develop their platforms on other stuff.
Well, so, okay, I think the first order is that we all agree to a large extent that it should be a technologist, like someone who is in tune with the actual product, like product engineering.
Well, Tavis, I disagree with that. I think it's someone who's worked in the space, at least in the space. It doesn't have to be someone with like a engineering background, but at least someone who's been in a engineering firm for a long time and has had an industry experience with that. I agree with.
You know, the problem with not hiring someone with an engineering mind is that when the engineers do come with him with options and things that they're going to work on, he doesn't understand which is more important to be worked on, because he's not talking to the developers on the boots with them, what they care about. You need someone who actually
VITALY.
You need someone who's a little bit more technically minded for this kind of stuff.
So
but look at Steve Jobs. Look at Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs was technically minded. I know you guys.
Product guy, though.
Steve Jobs was a programmer. I know people forget about this
Steve
stuff.
Jobs did not know how to code.
Yes, he
You're
did know
wrong.
how to code.
Woz knew how
He
to code.
worked.
Steve
He
Jobs
worked
did
at
not code
Atari.
the
In
first-
fact, he worked. Yes, no. Woz was the main guy. Don't get me wrong. Woz was the real engineer. He's behind Apple in terms of the serious hard engineering. But Steve Jobs was a tech guy. He worked at Atari. He worked on these things. He understood what Woz was
you know,
doing.
Elon has like a master's in comp sci. Steve Jobs didn't like do that.
So-
Yeah.
okay, so
I'm
let
not
me-
saying he was a PhD in comp sci, but he
Let-
did have a technical background, and he did have an art background. But you got to read his whole history. He's not a one-track pony, but he was a better marketer than he was an engineer at the end of the day. But still, your point stands that the Woz was the main guy, but Steve Jobs was still very technical. Don't forget about that.
So one thing I will say is you're going to have drawbacks on either type of personality down the spectrum that you go. Like if you draw a scale and one side is like super businessy guy and the other side is super engineering minded, you're going to have drawbacks of both. But the main reason why Riccatello was fired was because he made a short-term monetization decision at the expense of the long-term, like LTV, longevity of that user base. Right? Like he pissed everybody off because he started charging them for stuff that didn't make sense. It was haphazard, it was rushed, and it like didn't make sense. One other thing that I will say that I think adds another layer to this that makes the conversation a little bit more interesting was the acquisition of ironSource, because ironSource basically adds an entire advertising layer onto their platform. So basically, if you have in-app purchases and you build a game on Unity, that's all going to be powered by ironSource, all the analytics of that. And back in August of 2022, ironSource's main competitor, this company called AppLovin, basically made an offer to buy Unity for $20 billion. Now, Citigroup, who is bullish on Unity, they have a $49 price target, basically came out yesterday and they released a note saying they wouldn't be surprised if AppLovin made a second attempt at buying Unity. So I guess to KRIS's point, I mean, you have, the way I see it, the board is sort of at a fork in the road, because on one side you can choose a deep, like engineering minded person to go heads down and just work on the product and iterate on that, on the core value prop. But the other side of it is this more business savvy person to double down on the ad platform, because that's going to be where the main monetization is going to come from, not by gouging the customer base, but by building out the analytics platform of that ad space, right? Because so that these game developers can monetize their game and then Unity can take a cut of that. That's why AppLovin is really, I mean, they need Unity more than Unity needs AppLovin right now. That's why they made the attempt to buy them in August 2022. And that's why Citi thinks that they're going to make a second attempt now that Unity fired John.
Well, that, by the way, that was a bullshit attempt. 20 billion. I mean, they were worth, what were they worth at that point? 10 billion, 15 billion? Like, I mean, that's an idiotic figure they threw out there.
Well, they made it. You got to understand the circumstances, Vitaly. They made it 1 day or 2 days after Unity said that they had made an offer to ironSource. Like, this was a desperation Hail Mary attempt.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying they didn't give enough. So it wasn't real. In my opinion, this wasn't a real offer. They're just doing it to troll. And so unless the offer is like a 5 times what they're worth, it's pointless.
Okay. Tevis, I'm putting your YouTube in the chat. Let's 2 minutes with you since we got you here. What do you think is going to happen with Tesla a week from now?
Tesla reports earnings next Wednesday, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, delivery numbers were a little bit softer than people were hoping. Tesla Cybertruck event is going to be coming up.
Does the stock go up or down on earnings? Because a lot of people are saying it's going to crash. The margins are lower, deliveries, all this. Or do you think it can power through that negative stuff? And
yeah, I'm not sure, man. I saw this interesting thing that was released with regards to China numbers that were saying that deliveries were like down 10%, which was a little bit troubling. I don't know to what extent like macro affects that, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Tesla's a volatile thing, man. But if Tesla goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, it goes up. I'm looking at what are the catalysts over the next 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 to 18 months. It's not necessarily like, I'm not like placing calls or puts on it.
Okay.
But it might go down, sure. Like delivery numbers paint some type of a picture for what the earnings results are going to be, and they were softer than expected. So you could make a case that, margin are going to be weaker. Wall Street is not going to like that. It goes down. Or Elon says something dumb on the call. It goes down. Like there could be a ton of stuff.
I think Q4 is going to be the real tell because they have to beat 1.8 million cars. If they don't beat that, that's when they really get. That's when the big crash happens. If this doesn't happen, if people are waiting, so I think that's the. I mean, whether it goes down now, who cares? I don't think it'll last. It could pump back in the Christmas rally, right? If we're all expecting something to happen during December.
Yeah, I know you guys don't look at technicals. I mean, maybe Vitaly, you do, but Tesla is trading in an upward channel, which is also really interesting because they tested, I think it was like 225 was like that range of if they broke below that, then it was just like, floor below. But they bounced off of that and now they're what, 250, 260-ish. So they're consistently making higher lows, which from a technical perspective, at least is good. I mean, I agree with V. I think Q4 is really going to be the indicating quarter because it wraps up their entire year. And also looking forward to their guidance for 2024 as to what their next delivery estimate is going to be, considering that Mexico is slated to go live, I think, by the end of 2024. It's going to be like starting its ramp.
I don't believe that either.
And then so one last thing I'll say is like the wild card is also if they have, not necessarily for next week, but before the end of the year, if they have another event where they announce a new model, because we're coming up to that time where they're basically they were going to unveil 2 new models. One was going to be like the robotaxi, the $20,000 car that people have been, looking for. I don't think those are going to be, even close to entering production until like 2025, 2026. But the pattern has been that those have been unveiled, like 2 years earlier than the production. So,
by the way, can you just put some of the super chats up real quick so we can just address them? The last couple.
Seymour Duck, I vote for Reggie.
Yeah, we did that already. Yeah, Broadcom thoughts. Yeah, Broadcom's a great company, man. It's just, it's always hard for me to try to figure out what a good valuation for Broadcom is. They're always overvalued. But then again, they're just one of the best run companies on the planet. So I don't know. It's just every time I look at Broadcom, I cry to myself because there's been for the last 5 years, I've been like, man, I should buy some Broadcom. I should buy some Broadcom. So whatever. But bigger than that, bro, they found Bigfoot. They caught a video of Bigfoot. Look, it's Bigfoot. Okay?
I just squatted down.
It's not Bigfoot, bro.
Why don't they zoom in?
It's fucking Bigfoot, bro.
Nobody zooms in.
That's AI.
It's not AI. It's Bigfoot, dude. This is on the train in Colorado. All right? I knew Bigfoot was around, dude. I swear. Last time I was in Vegas, I felt the presence of Bigfoot around, bro.
Okay.
Like we took a trip to Zion National Forest, bro. I swear I thought
you can have your Flat Earth podcast on with the Maddie channel next time.
Nah, dude. Do you guys believe in aliens? Do you think there's an alien out there? Do you think the government's hiding that?
Chris shit? After stocks. He's trying to get his mind off stocks. He's like, let's see what else we can talk about.
No, that's a serious question.
I'll meet you in the metaverse, Chris.
Do you think
I believe in aliens? I don't believe in Bigfoot. I mean, I don't care that much about it. I believe there's aliens.
Bro, what if Bigfoot was the alien who got stuck on the planet?
Nah.
Just think about that.
I feel like aliens are smarter than that. They would figure out a way to
get off the planet.
Yeah,
bro.
I feel like they're way more advanced than us, quite frankly. If they come to Earth, it's because they have the tech to get to Earth.
To get off? You think they
get off whatever planet there are, and they're coming? Yeah.
What if their spaceship broke? Then what? And they're like, man, I need to get Google, I need to get Amazon, I need to get Apple to make these chips so that I can create the technology to get off world. Maybe that's why we've been developing so fast. Do you ever think of that?
Maybe that is a scenario.
Bro, I feel like there's aliens out there. The government's been hiding it.
But by the way, X-Files is a perfect show. I love that show and all the alien conspiracy stuff. So if you've never seen that, Chris, you should watch that.
I have. I think they do. They have an episode with Bigfoot, right?
They do, and I just saw it recently. And
this is the funniest comment.
Oh, I got these tranquilizer stocks.
Chris will find a way. He's like, guys.
He's like, I bought spreads on tranquilizer stocks.
I bought spreads on this company that makes radar that looks for Bigfoot.
All right. That's it. Thank you for joining, Tevis. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Actually, tonight, Chris, I don't know if you want to play some VR ping pong. I could meet you and we have a little game of ping pong.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Maybe tomorrow night because I had a rough night last night. So maybe tomorrow night we can do it.
Sure.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Later, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Everybody.
Bye.